Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy. I will tell you that this puzzle of all these adorable dogs is turning out to be harder than I thought because they all have black muzzles, they all have black eyes, they all have pink tongues. So if you're a puzzle person, you know that can be difficult. So I just got this little corner done, that's about it. So anyway, today we are getting on to the marketing trend that is very popular now. If you're watching this, you're into pet food and have been shopping pet foods. So you know that the wolf is one of the favorites of pet food marketers. It's been going on for a while now. It works. I mean, there must be 20 brands that have wolves somewhere on their bags and in their TV commercials. And for people that have Malamutes and Huskies, I know they really love that. I had a Husky years ago and always felt she was part wolf. That was way back before this phenomenon with marketing of wolves. But the whole premise is that you'll hear the term biologically appropriate, that this diet is biologically suited to that wolf, and that's what your dog should be eating because your dog is basically a wolf. And ancestral diet is another term, pretty cool term actually, that you're going back to your dog's ancestors when they were wolves hunting elk up in the mountains, that kind of thing. So it works really well. Here's my favorite. I've shown this before. If I didn't know what I know, I would definitely be walking into a PetSmart and buying this bag. It's just, I gotta admit, it's a gorgeous bag. It would make a great t-shirt, right? Or even put it on the wall. So it definitely works. Like I've said in other videos, these marketers know how to get to our hearts, how to get to our emotion. But is there real logic behind this idea of an ancestral diet, or is biologically appropriate superior for my pet? But remember, our goal here is what is the healthiest diet for my dog? I don't want to get caught up in philosophy and stuff like that. So the first question we really should ask ourselves or think about is compare the wolf of yesterday, even the wolf out there today. You'd have to go north of where I'm living to get to wolves. We have coyotes and fox and stuff like that, but unfortunately we have no wolves down here anymore. But I met my wife working in Yellowstone National Park, and it was the Druid pack that was out there back in the 70s, and just had a lot of incredible experiences watching the wolves up there. And so I do have an affinity for wolves, and I think I have I don't know if I've shown it. Here's let's see if I can do this real quick. There's my wolf puzzle up there. So in honor of this topic, had to show my puzzle up there. So anyway, let's get back into this. So think about the wolf. They basically, as far as their diet, they eat whatever they can find, whenever they can find it, and they have to travel on average about 30 miles a day to go and search out that food. So I want you to think about the nutritional requirements of an animal, a canine, that has to live like that. Okay, again, inconsistency as far as what they're eating, when they can eat it, and again, they are expending a lot of energy in order to stay fed. Think about your your own dog now. We can actually supply them a consistent diet. We can actually control the nutrients precisely. That's the whole idea of nutrition science, delivering the nutrients at optimal levels for exactly what that animal needs, and their energy requirements as well. Our dogs do not walk 30 miles in order to get food. My guys just have to walk from the living room into the kitchen to find their bowls. So for your domesticated dog that's sitting at home on your couch right now while you're at work or wherever you're watching this, or if you're home and they're sitting on your lap, their nutritional requirements, we know them very well. We can design a diet, whether it's a canned form, dry form, fresh, frozen, whatever, and deliver optimal nutrients to that dog. That is a benefit that poor wolf in the wild couldn't even imagine. Again, they are just scavengers eating whatever they can, whenever they can get it. And as far as digestibility, that comes out a lot. Now, I will tell you, I don't know any board certified nutritionist that believes a dog is a carnivore. They're omnivores. They handle both plant protein and animal protein. You could make a vegetarian diet for a dog. That's kind of proof they're not a true carnivore. And comparison is always great. When you look at a cat, you see a true carnivore. That's another way of seeing that dogs are not carnivores. But a lot of people like to say they are because they're into this meat fixation of meat protein. And the wolf, of course, back in the day, that's pretty much what they got. The 2013 study where they actually looked at the DNA and the genome, the genetic makeup of modern domestic dogs, they found that it actually has changed. Adaptation is something very real. That's why we can create breeds of dogs and all that. And what they have found is that the modern dog can handle starches and carbohydrates very well. So in other words, we can deliver certain things to them, whether it's energy, vitamins, fatty acids, whatever, by using vegetable protein and grains. So again, if you look at the science of it, to try to compare your wolf or your dog to the wolf, it doesn't match up when you look at actual DNA and genetics. Never mind the fact, the control we have over their diet when it's your pup in your home versus that poor wild dog out in the wild. You know what's so funny is the people that I watch these videos that look at ingredients and the AFCO definitions, and this is byproducts, and that could be mystery meat, and you don't even know what kind of organs they're putting in there and all that kind of stuff. So avoid that at all costs. Those are the same people that are saying you need a biologically appropriate diet like a wolf. As if the wolf takes down that prey and then says, you know, I'll take fillet of elk, or I'll take a little heart over here. They just scarf up whatever they can get. So it is kind of funny. You could say byproduct meal or even byproducts. I don't care what's in it because it's just all body parts, and that's basically what a wolf eats. So it is kind of funny. Byproducts are actually much more biological appropriate than when we deliver these incredibly balanced diets. So it is kind of inconsistent. I really don't get the byproducts could be bad, but yet, geez, wolves will eat a carcass that's been sitting there for 3 days. Okay, so you know, let's be real here. This whole silly thing about again, it's another example how the byproducts things and looking at definitions is just silly. The one interesting thing about nature is nature really sucks for wild dogs and cats. I hate to say this, but you know, plain English, that's really true. If you look at nature, a wolf in nature, they don't get to live very long. The average lifespan of a wolf in the wild is 6 to 8 years, and those are the ones that are really lucky. That's the alpha male, that's the, you know, the matriarch, whatever, but that's not common. Now, if they were in captivity, they could live as long as our dogs, you know, 13, 15, 16 years, but in the wild, they just don't. So I want you to think about this. There is no geriatrics in nature. So how biologically appropriate is a diet based on the wolf when we don't have old wolves in the wild? They don't make it, okay? Sadly, starvation is one of the top reasons that a wolf will not live a nice long life. The other is disease, distemper, parvo, things we don't really think about. That affects them. Sadly, other wolves. I one time in Hayden Valley watched the Druid pack attack another competing pack, and it was an amazing thing to watch. Kind of sad that wolves are just as dumb as humans and they have to fight over land, but anyway, they do, so that they kill each other off. And sadly, the most common reason that wolves don't get to live into old age is because of man, and that's really depressing. So the point I want to make here is you don't get to see old geriatric wolves in the wild. They're just not there. They don't get to live that long. So to try to find a biologically appropriate diet for a geriatric domestic dog, you don't go look at an old wolf that doesn't exist. Does that make sense? It is kind of interesting if that very lucky wolf that gets to live to about 6 years of age, 6 to 8 years of age out in the wild, that's about at the time, if you're a veterinarian with any experience, you know it's around the age of 6 or 7 or 8 that dogs, depending on their size, later if they're a little guy, earlier, unfortunately, if they're a big dog. But geriatrics hits around 7 years of age. And that's not a gospel number, but the idea is when veterinarians look at health risks and prevalence of disease, there really starts to be a shift around that 6, 7 years of age. And renal disease, heart disease, maybe the onset of arthritis, different things, kind of like a person in their 60s. Things aren't the way they used to be. Things are changing. Same is true for your dog that's around 6 to 8 years of age. So it's kind of interesting that wolf who's now gone. Now we move into geriatrics, and that's what veterinary medicine offers, and that is what nutrition science offers. It really becomes critical in that later stage of life. And I've always said this, if you tell me you're feeding a certain food and your dog's 2 years of age, you know what, if it's working and he looks great, that's fine. That's kind of like a 20-year-old that's eating whatever they want to eat and doing all kinds of crazy things. When you're in your 20s, you can get away with it. So can your 2-year-old dog. You can't get away with it when you're in your 60s. You're going to pay for that abuse on your body. And the same is true for that dog that's now hitting 6, 7, 8 years of age. The nutrient imbalances and excesses that we find in so many foods out there, especially these that are promoting this biologically appropriate approach with high protein and high fat and low carbs, that's really going to matter the most now that that dog is older. So as the wild dog of nature is gone at 6 to 8 years of age, now veterinary medicine takes over and nutrition science does to help reduce the risk of age-related diseases that veterinarians see every day. That is why generally, at least me and I hope most veterinarians really get more serious about nutrition. They should be serious about it all the time, but especially when that dog is older, because there are age-related risks in diseases, and if we can manage those or help reduce the risk of those through dietary management, through nutrition, and that's what we can do. And that's what the wolf in the wild never gets. So again, I really have a problem with looking to the wild wolf to figure out what do I do nutritionally for my geriatric dog. I have a 13-year-old and I have an 8-year-old, so they're both getting up there. Nutrition matters. I want to protect their kidneys. I just had Bella's blood work done and her kidney function, everything. She's like a 2-year-old. And I attribute that a lot to sound nutrition, not overtaxing those kidneys or putting extra undue stress on her body. It's funny. I've always felt bad for the wolves when I watch them. It's one thing about nature. I love it, but there is the sad part that, the struggle that goes on there, is real, whether predator or prey, the winter, trying to survive the winter in Montana, that kind of thing. But thankfully, when I look at my pups, they just have the best life. A dog's life, can be a great life. This biologically appropriate, you would never apply that. You'll apply it to your diet, your dog's diet, for whatever reason, good marketing, okay? But you never apply it to the other aspects of your pet's care, okay? No one's going to say, well, vaccines really are not very biologically appropriate. Wolves do not get vaccines. So, sure, they get distemper, they get parvo, they get some other diseases. I think I'm just going to stop with vaccines. And I guess actually there are some people believing that out there now, so I won't even go there. I am not a veterinarian, I'm not touching that one. But that orthopedic bed that you have for your dog at home that they love so much, I'm sorry, that's really not biologically appropriate. So I think that needs to go out and let them sleep on the floor. Actually, if we're going to be appropriate, they need to go outside to sleep. They'll figure it out. Wolves figure out how to do it. It would really benefit your dog's body, I'm sure, to be outside and try to be comfortable and on the ground. Okay, so let's do that. And we've already said feeding. Don't feed a balanced diet on a regular basis. Let them kind of, if you see some roadkill down the road on the way home, maybe bring them over there. Let them scarf on that. Come on, we know our dogs. They'll eat just about anything, that they lick their butts. They'll take those little treats out of the cat litter box anytime and think they're a delicacy. So, they're not real picky. So let's start treating them a little more like wolves. Parasite control, heartworm, fleas. If you're in the east, we don't have fleas out here in the west, but you really should stop all that. That's not very appropriate. Wolves don't get that, so your guys shouldn't either. And fleas, they're natural. They're part of nature, so we need to just embrace that, I guess. And oh, and dentals. Now Bella just had a dental. It's been 2 days. She's recuperating awesome. My vet did a great job. She's 13, and it was time. And a lot of teeth came out. She'll be on more canned food than dry, but she's doing great. And I won't even tell you how much that costs. But for those of you into this biologically appropriate philosophy, no more dentals. One, it'll save you a bunch of money, right? And two, dentistry doesn't exist in the wild. So let's treat our dogs like wolves. So obviously what I'm saying here is ridiculous, but I guess I just want to give you a different perspective on this wolf thing. So after hearing all this, I don't expect any of you that are really into this wolf thing to be convinced just by my short video. But I would at least offer you this, at least think about the perspective. Are you really buying into a marketing idea or a philosophy that sounds really great, it appealed to you, but really think about that wolf and his requirements, his lifestyle versus your guy at home, okay? They are two very different animals, okay? I know mine are very different than any wolves I'm gonna run into. And as mine get older, my main concern is what could I do nutritionally to reduce the risk of age-related disease? That's something that is totally foreign to feeding a wolf. I hope at least you'll get that point. One thing I would recommend, and it's just from me, you could ask your vet, and I'm sure they'll agree, if you have a dog that's on one of these diets because you really feel this is important, you're on a high protein, high fat, low carb diet, and your dog's doing great, that's great. But you know what? When he hits about 6, 7, at least 8 years of age, please get some blood work done. Check out his kidney function, check out his liver, see how he's doing. If he's doing fine, hey, you know what? You've been blessed with a dog with great genetics. Keep doing what you're doing, okay? Why break it or why fix it if it ain't broken, okay? But if you do that blood work and things are starting to get elevated, age is kicking in, age-related diseases are becoming a reality, please don't stick with that philosophy of feeding your wolf, okay? That's when there's so many benefits to veterinary medicine and nutrition science. Geriatrics is the area that we really shine when it comes to using dietary management. So please don't stay in that philosophy when there's better options for you. So I hope that makes sense. Thanks for listening. You guys take care. Bye.